Because in many ways, and with apologies to my dear spicy white friends, because I know that my white brothers and sisters do love a 4th of July. It is Independence Day, everybody's barbecuing, it's a thing. I can promise you, black folks, we will take that day off. We will barbecue because we off. But black people that nobody black I know is really excited about the 4th of July because it is what Frederick Douglass said it is. It is the celebration of slaveholders who freed themselves from having to pay taxes to the crown for their slave empire. And that is what it is. I mean,
What's up, family? Real talk. Joy Reid just went on national TV and called the 4th of July a celebration of slaveholders. She tried to use Frederick Douglass to justify her hatred of America, and the receipts just destroyed her entire argument. So, showing you exactly what she said because she's dead wrong. And from her claim, straight out her mouth, as you guys just heard, nobody black I know is really excited about the 4th of July because it is what Frederick Douglass said it is, the celebration of slaveholders who freed themselves from having to pay taxes to the crown for their slave empire, quote unquote. That's what she just said. Now think about that for a second. She's building her whole argument on those words. Then she went further and compared July 4th to indigenous people on Thanksgiving. And she's saying black folks should reject this holiday the same way Native Americans rejected Thanksgiving. That's her angle right there. But she didn't stop because she pivoted hard and said Juneteenth is the real 4th of July because we weren't really a democracy until slavery ended, quote unquote. So what she's doing is building an entire framework where the founders, America is illegitimate and black people shouldn't celebrate it. And she's wrapping it all up in righteousness. It sounds like she's protecting black dignity, right? It sounds righteous. It sounds like she's got the community's back. But here's the problem, and this is important. It sounds good, but it doesn't hold up when you actually look at the facts. She's counting on people not knowing the real history. She's counting on you not checking the receipts. She's counting on you just feeling the anger and moving on without thinking deeper. That's the game. That's always the game when you're trying to manipulate people's emotions instead of teaching them the truth. The emotional hook is powerful. I get it. It lands, but emotions without facts are just noise. And noise keeps you stuck. Noise keeps you angry, and noise keeps you dependent on people who profit off your anger. And here's what kills me about this whole thing. She's presenting this like it's some revolutionary truth that nobody's talking about. Like she's discovered something that's been hitting. But what she's really doing is taking a speech from 170 years ago and using it to justify staying mad about today. And that's not how history works. That's not how growth works. That's not how you build a better life for yourself and your family. Now, here's what Joy Reid conveniently left out about Frederick Douglass and why her whole argument collapses. See, Frederick Douglass made his famous 4th of July critique in 1852. That's important. 1852. That's when slavery was still legal in America. He was calling out the hypocrisy of a nation claiming freedom while enslaving millions of people. That was a legitimate criticism at that time. And he was right to say it. He was standing up and saying, you claim these principles, but you're not living by them. That's what he was doing. But Joy Reid is using a speech from 170 years ago to condemn America today. And that's not how history works. Douglas wasn't saying the principles themselves were evil. He was saying, you're not living up to your own principles right now. And he was calling them to be better. And he was saying, you wrote this declaration about freedom, so why are you enslaving people? Slavery ended in 1865. We are in 2026. I don't know, what is that, roughly about that's 161 years of different America. Joy Reid is frozen in 1852 and pretending nothing has changed. And she's pretending like the laws are still the same, like the systems are still the same, like the opportunities are still the same, and they're not. Now let's talk about Juneteenth because her argument here is historically inaccurate. And this is where it gets wild. She claims Juneteenth represents when black people were finally freed, but that's not the whole story. That's not even close to the whole story. See, the Choctaw Indians still owned black slaves for a full year after Juneteenth. A full year. Native Americans had slaves too. They don't want to tell you that because it ruins the whole white man bad narrative, unfortunately. And I hate this divisive rhetoric. And I push for unity and I'm advocating for unity in this video, regardless of what your race is. And we continue to unify together and embrace each other and love each other, no matter the color of your skin, okay? I want to put that out there. But I'm just speaking to the truth of history since she's mentioning it. to her specific points and debunking them because it's very misleading and very spreads a lot of ignorance. See, Juneteenth wasn't the end of slavery for all black people in America. It was just the announcement in Texas. The Emancipation Proclamation was signed, but people had to physically go tell enslaved people they were free. Think about that. There was no internet. There was no social media. Nobody's getting a text message saying, "Hey, you're free now." Someone had to travel and tell people face to face. That's why Juneteenth exists. It's the day the word reached Galveston, Texas. But here's what kills me about the whole thing. Juneteenth became a federal holiday 3 years ago. 3 years. Before that, most black Americans didn't even know what Juneteenth was. And I'm being real with you. Ask people around you. Before 2021, how many black people were celebrating Juneteenth? Show me black people cooking on Juneteenth the way they do on 4th of July. I'm one of those individuals. Wasn't celebrating no Juneteenth, wasn't even a thought in mind. But show me that energy, right? I had learned about Juneteenth and its truth, but showing me that energy, it wasn't there because nobody was celebrating it. Now she wants to abandon July 4th for a holiday that nobody celebrated until the government made it official 3 years ago. The inconsistency is wild, is my point. And that's what tells you this isn't about history. It's about the narrative. It's about keeping you focused on what divides you instead of what builds you. So let me break down what's actually happening here. And when you pull back and look at the whole picture, Joy Reid is doing something smart. She's layering a real historical fact on top of a distorted timeline, and that's how you get people to believe a lie. Douglass was brilliant. He was right to call out the contradiction between the words and the actions in his time, but she's hijacking his credibility to make an argument he never made. He wasn't saying America was fundamentally evil or that 4th of July should never be celebrated. He was saying live up to what you said you believe in. That's different. That's a call for progress, not a call for rejection. And here's what this tells me. When you have to reach back 170 years to make your case about today, you're admitting that the case for today doesn't hold up on its own. If America in 2026 was still the same as America in 1852, you could just talk about what's happening right now. But you can't because too much has changed, right? Too much has been built. Too much progress has been made. So you have to reach back and you have to freeze time in somebody else's era and pretend you're still living there. That's manipulation. And it works because people feel the emotion without checking the math. Now, think about what she's really saying underneath all of this. She's saying Juneteenth should replace the 4th of July in black consciousness. She's saying we should abandon one celebration for another. But Juneteenth wasn't even a federal holiday until 3 years ago. Well, further than 3 years ago, back in 2021. So black Americans didn't know about it. I myself included didn't celebrate it. It wasn't part of the culture. My family, we didn't celebrate. It wasn't part of the culture. Then the government made it official and I learned about it. But suddenly it's supposed to be the quote unquote, the real Independence Day for us. That's not organic. That's manufactured. And it's designed to do something specific to keep you separated from the larger American story. How far we have come. And yes, those horrible times existed within our flawed history as a country and sin of a country, but what country is perfect? I always make that point. Look how far we came. Why can't we be in love? Why we keep being in love with the flaws instead of being in love with the journey of how far we have come and where we are going to continue to go in the right direction and focus and put our energy into that? But to make someone feel like you're outside looking in instead of like you're part of building something is what this comes off like from Joy Reid's rhetoric. And here's what kills me about the whole thing. She's asking you to trade one holiday for another. And the new one comes with a built-in grievance. And the 4th of July comes with fireworks and freedom and barbecues and family. Juneteenth comes with the reminder that you had to wait. You had to be told you weren't included in the original promise. So every time you celebrate it, you're celebrating an announcement that you finally got what was promised to you 87 years earlier. That's not victory. That's not liberation. That's a reminder of the gap. And that's what I'm saying. Why do we keep going back to the horrible time? Why do we have to keep being reminded that? Why can't we just keep going forward? And Joy Reid knows this. She knows what she's doing. The goal isn't historical accuracy. The goal is keeping you focused on what you didn't have instead of what you can build. And it keeps you looking backward. And you can't drive looking in the rearview mirror to go forward. So it keeps you looking backward instead of forward. And it keeps you in a defensive posture when you're always explaining why you should be angry instead of being in an offensive posture when you're building something better. Because once you stop being angry about the past, you realize you got work to do in the present. And you realize the excuses don't hold up anymore. And you realize that people from Nigeria and Ghana and everywhere else are coming here and succeeding faster than people who have been here for generations. And that should make you ask yourself some hard questions. But she doesn't want you asking those questions. She wants you staying mad at the 4th of July. If anything, Frederick Douglass actually questioned the standard to be the standard consistently for our race to justify celebrating 4th of July with the liberations and freedom of this country, which is the beauty of what 4th of July encapsulates. But here's the part that um, brings on a sense of question or ambiguity for every individual watching this. It may make you absolutely furious, and I mean that in a way that wakes you up, not the way that keeps you stuck or keeps you angry. Because what she's really doing is erasing 100 years of your own excellence, right? And as a country, how far we have came from that. And what she won't talk about, what they never talk about, is the generation that come right after slavery and build something incredible. And I mean incredible. Think about the timeline for a second, right? Slavery ended in 1865. Within one generation, Black Americans had created institutions. We have HBCUs, built businesses, and produced some of the greatest minds this country ever seen. Just like, not even just from a Black perspective, the greatest minds we can achieve together and continue to thrive and build as much things as we have today. George Washington Carver wasn't born into wealth. He came up in the South after slavery ended. He became a scientist. He revolutionized agriculture in America. His work changed how farming worked in this country. Not just for Black people, but for everybody. That's the beauty of unity. He's one of the most important agricultural minds America ever produced. But when's the last time you heard someone like Joy Reid talk about him? And then to prove my point and show you an example of what keeps you looking backwards and looking in the rearview mirror while you're trying to drive forward, you guys seen it. It keeps you looking backwards, right? When's the last time that got brought up, right? When the last time did that get brought up in regard to discussion about what people have accomplished? How far we came, and speaking specific to Joy Reid, about what Black people have accomplished, right? Same thing with Booker T. Washington. He built Tuskegee University. That university still exists. He's still producing excellence. It's still changing lives. If anything, individuals going there regardless of the race for the excellence, right? He took nothing and built an institution that lasted over 100 years, and you can measure his legacy in the people walking around today with degrees from Tuskegee, regardless of their race. Building careers, raising families, creating the next generation. And you got Madam C.J. Walker. I want you to understand what she did. She was the first female millionaire of any race in America. Not the first Black female millionaire. The first female millionaire, period, any race. She built an entire empire from nothing. She didn't inherit wealth. She didn't get a handout. She identified it a need, and she created a product, and she built a business empire. Same thing what most successful business do. They see what individuals need, and they solve a problem in the form of a solution, and that's how they create their business in exchange for profit. Because anybody will be able to pay anything if it speeds up their time and help them solve something they're very eager to solve. That's the formula. And in doing that, Madam C.J. Walker, she created thousands of jobs. Thousands. Thousands. So those women had opportunities because of her vision and her work ethic. You had the Black Wall Street and Tesla. Black Americans built a thriving community, generational wealth, businesses, a whole economy that worked. The Harlem Renaissance, artists, writers, musicians, poets, creating culture that literally changed America. Langston Hughes, Paul Laurence Dunbar. These weren't just black poets. These were American poets who shaped the culture. The country was different because of them. Tuskegee, Howard University, all the historically black colleges, black people built these institutions. Black people maintained them. Black people have been teaching, learning, and creating in these spaces for generations. That's real. That's measurable. That happened. Now, here's what kills me because before the 1960s, 70% of black households were two-parent homes. 70%. Think about that. That means most black families had a father and a mother in the home. They were getting married. They were taking care of their kids. They were building legacies. They came out of slavery, and within a couple of generations, they were building something that lasted. If you don't hear that, you don't hear about that. You don't hear about just the nuclear family, regardless of the race, which was the it was the culture of America. Some people would take it further and say the Democratic Party, as our current president has said, and I can show you on the screen right now. That post right there. And that's America. And that picture encapsulates so much because the nuclear family is what makes America, regardless of race, is what I advocate for. The beauty of that home ownership, wealth being retained, hardworking individual, blue collar worker, leaving something passed down to their children, whether that's home ownership, an inheritance, being able to fund them to be able to go to educate themselves, to go to a university. And billions was spent in the name of welfare, most would say, from the Democratic Party to separate the nuclear family because we're powerful together than apart because then they can't trick you separately in regards of using this as an example with Joy Reid to basically make the country divided over picking and choosing a holiday from our country's sin. And it was a flawed and horrific, horrible thing that happened in the past to stop us from moving forward as a country, but keep living in the past so we can't move forward in the future, to keep you at a standstill, to continue to convince you what is good and what is bad, and making what is evil good and making what is good evil, such as the nuclear family. I'll give you an example. Welfare. And I mentioned the 70% within black families, but that could the thing is, regardless of race, there's a more of a separation from families when it comes to the next generation and youth. And individuals not even looking to marry and become one with someone and actually build a family. Because the simple fact is they believe, you know what I got to get married for is a piece of paper. But that is powerful because it also shows unity. It shows actually grit, and it shows going through the hard times together because two is better than one, but not from a beneficial standpoint, from a loving standpoint, from a strong foundation standpoint, through the good, bad, and ugly. Nowadays, the youth want to be with somebody if it benefits them and is more transactional and only what they can get from someone. So now it also has been influenced and comes off politically. A lot of individuals will say, for example, like the Democrats using welfare to basically influence and strengthen up the woman to feel as though I have much support to discredit the man. And now the man is only looked at for what he can give. And if a woman can build herself up, and there's nothing against that, there's nothing wrong with that, building herself within corporate America, getting a job and making more money for her family. But now in the mindset, the typical woman for the next generation is saying, if I have more money, it can justify me not needing a man because he's not making more than me and he should make more than me regardless. But when a man makes more, he's always figuring out how to spread it and help his family and uplift them to continue to stand on a strong foundation for stability's sake. So billions were spent to convince you that the nuclear family was wrong. As long as you can be close to the government, daddy, we'll give you free housing, we'll give you food stamps, we'll give you everything you need for the simple fact in exchange for your vote. And this can go for both political parties, Democrat, Republican, you name it. But the simple fact is billions were spent because you always have a few bad apples. Not saying that the party was entirely at one point the Democrats weren't bad, but right now they're far left socialists. And not saying that the Republican Party was all good and dandy, but now they come more common sense and trying to restore and uphold the common sense values in which the country United States was rooted, and bringing back the legacy of families and legacies being passed on, and also promoting home ownership for individuals to be able to make a family, have their home, and retain wealth, as you see our president with Trump accounts, and teaching a way to have excess to put money in stocks so you can have your child be better off and not start from scratch from nothing. That's the beauty of America, regardless of the race. And I mentioned Madam C. Walker and all that because they came from nothing. And that's the beauty of America. If you work hard and be an honest individual and do things right, they will come out right with the opportunity you're giving, used as a tool to make you gain more, along with your family and your loved ones, where you can leave them with something such as an inheritance, and leave them with something where they don't have to start from scratch, but they can continue to uphold the mantle and the legacy and amplify the land of opportunity, which is the United States of America. That's what I believe our president currently is trying to say in this video clip, and his statement says so many words in one. But does Joy Reid really want you to talk about this, or keep talking about race? You see where I'm going with this, family? Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if you disagree. We having a conversation. I think it's interesting. But when you look at that, and Joy Reid, you know, mentioning slavery, but not the individuals who were building legacies. They came out of slavery, and with a couple generations, they were building something that lasted. But you don't hear that. If you talk about what built these amazing communities, like the one on the screen, black families, white families, doesn't matter. Legal immigrants who came here the right way out of respect for this country. You have to talk about faith. You have to talk about family structure. As most would say, America was rooted on Christian values. You have to talk about personal responsibility, and those things don't fit the victimhood narrative tied into race, looking backwards and continue to try to basically belittle and basically look at our country as an abomination, to where you are old in a victimhood mentality that can keep going back, thinking about race and slavery to keep you at a standstill, and not really amplify your gifts and show your gifts and being a productive citizen in America, and showing what America is about with the beauty and the opportunity that's there. So they get erased. They get left out of the story. This on the screen get left out of the story. The nuclear family, they get jumped over so we can get back to talking about what was taken instead of what was built. Meanwhile, and this is what should really make you think, people are coming to America from Nigeria, from Ghana, from across Africa. And these are people who didn't grow up in the United States, and they didn't grow up with American resources or American infrastructure, but they come here and they outperform native born Black Americans in education, income, and marriage rates. They're more educated. And this is statistics I'm speaking, you know, being very objective here. They marry more. They believe in faith more. Why? Trump, our current president, has actually saved Nigerians who are getting persecuted over there in Nigeria for being a Christian. You don't believe me?
Look at it today. Is there any Muslim here? United Nations, I know you're watching it. American Senate, you are watching what I'm doing. I'm saying here. Special advisor to Trump. Now, please tell Trump to save our life in Nigeria. They are killing Christians in Nigeria. Massacre Christians. If they say they kill Muslims, Muslims are being killed. By who? By Muslims. Look.
And there you have it. The United States military has killed 175 Islamists in Nigeria as jihadists keep targeting Christians. Some would say that this happening here in America started with New York, with the Democratic Socialist Iran Mudami, who have individuals, Muslims, in the street, praying wherever they want, in the midst of traffic, just taking over streets, as they please, and churches getting burnt down more to be replaced as mosques. And Barack Obama is saying that the United States was enriched from the founding of the United States of America. Do you see where I'm going with this, family? Also, not to change the subject. These strikes were carried out in conjunction with the Nigeria government. Islamists have nowhere to hide. Trump saved them. The Christians that were getting persecuted from Islamists. Sound familiar with 9/11? So, if you look at it, and they wanted to erase and get rid of the nuclear family, and also overtake the roots of United States of America, which was Christianity. What does that tell you? So if Nigeria and all these other individuals have, and then I'm not condemning the Muslim and, the Muslim faith entirely. You can have good Christians and bad Christians. You have the good part of Islam. You have individuals who just are Muslims. They worship, you know, their God. And then you have the extreme Muslims who happen to be terrorists. But when you see the mosque, right, in their Islamic islands or places, you don't see us as America going over there to overtake and put our belief or faiths and oppress there where they do their thing at over there, right? So what I'm saying is, family, Nigerians who Trump saved came over here, outworked, continued to work hard and build. And they don't carry the victimhood weight. They're not looking backward. They're building forward. And one group of people is winning while another group keeps waiting for permission to be angry about something that happened before they were born. One group decided they were going to build. The other group was told they should stay angry. Which one do you think is ahead? I mentioned an example with Nigerians and individuals such as, speaking to Joy Reid's point, of Black Americans, right? Having a victimhood mentality. You had people coming here building things as which it once was, all the way back from when slavery ended, and Frederick Douglass, who built something and so forth. And she tried to remix that history and make it her narrative and falsehood. Republicans voted unanimously for freedom amendments. First Black politicians, all Republicans. But you got convinced to vote Democrat for 200 years while the communities got worse. Cities where most Black people run by Democrats. You've been hoodwinked by pastors pimping you in every election cycle. The nonprofits you see now in the name of fraud connected to churches and elsewhere. Not all churches are bad, but some would actually prop up and use the pastors will basically, in the name of profit, to get propped up by politicians, continue to pay their bills in the church, plus more, to continue to influence you in the name of pastorhood with a mix of Christianity to make you vote a certain way every election cycle. Every successful person celebrates America with gratitude, even the ones that come from Nigeria and other countries that I mentioned. And it's a framework to build wealth. Slavery's gone. Jim Crow's gone. Legal discrimination's gone. Opportunities left. Stay stuck in 1852, you miss it. Victimhood doesn't build businesses, keeps you angry and broke. Immigrants come here and they see freedom. They see possibility. They work harder. They build faster. They don't waste time being angry about something that happened 160 years ago. Before they were born, they grab what's available and they turn it into something real. And that's what America is, regardless of race. This family on this screen right now is what America is about. Black, white, purple, you name it. This is what made America strong. Family. Regardless of race. We welcome all people as long as they respect America, love America, appreciate America, done things the right way, pay their taxes and everything else, abide by the law. You good to go. Meanwhile, some people are too busy looking backward to see what's in front of them right now. A lot of people are mad at our President Trump, and you ain't got to agree with everything he's saying. But all I'm going to say is, regardless if it's President Trump or anybody else, Be careful of the individual you are mad at, because it might be the one that's saving you behind. And that's the real tragedy, not the past, not the present. You're missing your own opportunity because you're mad about someone else's history. Family, choose your future over their narrative. July 4th is for all Americans. All Americans. Immigrants, I'll work. They would say, I'll work. Black individuals who have this mentality or this entitled mentality or victimhood mentality, black, whatever, white, the victimhood mentality, individuals who have this continue to bring up slavery and divisive rhetoric like Joy Reid mentality. If anything, immigrants will outwork us, a lot of people would say, because they appreciate America. And they're looking forward while you're stuck in the past. Build your future or stay stuck. And here's what I'm saying to you right now. I want you to feel this. Truth is the only foundation that lasts. You can build your life on victimhood, on anger about the past, on hatred for people and places. And you're going to fall. You're going to fall, but you can build your life on the truth of your own potential, on the excellence of your ancestors, on the opportunity that sits in front of you right now, and you cannot be stopped. That's not me being soft. That's mathematics. That's history. That's real life. John chapter 8, verse 32 says it plain. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Not feelings, not anger, not grievance, truth. And the truth right now is that America is open. It's available, and people are coming from across the world and taking advantage. The question is, are you? Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your post notifications. Spread the peace, love, and positivity. Let the love supersede the hate, family. I'll catch you next one. I love you all. As always, we are in this together, regardless of the race. We are all amazing. We all have gifts, talents, and we all are able. And we all can achieve excellence. Race holds us back as a country and as a race together in unity. But if we love in truth and look forward and to do things the right way, we all can thrive. And so can this country continue to do so. Love you guys. Catch you next one. Spread that peace.